Now the gymnasium auditorium as an open session of the Roselle Park Board of Education held under the Open Public Meetings Act of the state of New Jersey. Notice of this meeting was sent to the Star Ledger, local source, the Home News Tribune, and the Borough Clerk, school offices, and the district website. Roll call, please.
President Signorello.
Here.
Vice President Lange.
Here.
Ms. Carlstrom. Here. Ms. Falcon. Absent. Mr. Fernandez.
Here.
Mr. Morris.
Here.
Mr. Hemingway. Absent. Ms. Paucato. Absent. Mr. Miller.
Here.
We have four.
Please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Resolved that the Roselle Park Board of Education meeting hereby convenes to executive session for discussion of the following subjects: attorney-client privilege. It is anticipated the executive session will take approximately 30 minutes. The board may take action during this public session. The board shall return to public session following the executive session at approximately 7 p.m. The minutes of the executive session shall be released to the public when the reason for an executive session no longer exists. Make a motion. Second? Have a second?
Second.
Going closed session. All in favor? All in favor? Aye. Need a motion to go back into public session. So moved. Second. All in favor? Aye. You will now have the public participation for agenda items only. Each member of the public may speak for a maximum 3 minutes. Anyone want to speak on agenda items only? Thank you. We're moving on to committee reports. The members that wish to provide a report on the committee.
Yes, Mr. President, Finance Committee just met yesterday. It's budget season, so we are working on the budget. We will have, I believe, 1 or 2 more committee meetings before before March 10th public budget workshop. And then we'll have a couple of more public meetings on the budget after that. The big one being the April 28th regular public meeting where we adopt the budget. We've got some work to do before then, waiting on state aid figures as well, but just wanted to give everybody an update on that we're working on. Thank you, sir.
Any other committee reports? Now we'll have Mrs. Scully, the now principal of Apple School, her principal's report.
Good evening, Mr. Signorella, members of the board, Superintendent Garrido, families, and students. Welcome to Aldine, and we're delighted to host you this evening. As always, Aldine is buzzing with activity all year, especially this time of year. So I'll briefly talk about some of our recent happenings. We are participating in Digital Learning Day this Thursday, the 24th to the 27th. The teachers will be employing technology throughout the day to enhance their students' interactions with online tools and programs that support their learning. Digital Learning Day is a worldwide initiative, and if you go to their website, you'll see Aldine listed with other schools across the world who are participating. Some examples of what teachers are doing and students are doing in the classroom include Nearpod, BrainPod, Google Classroom, iPad, and Osmos for coding. As part of our efforts to offer more opportunities for families to visit school and interact with their students and see what they're learning, this year we've created an convention for our fourth grade students. Studying inventions is part of their social studies curriculum, and each student has researched a specific invention and the person who created it, and they'll be presenting their research to their families. They utilize grade-level print resources as well as online tools in their research, and this will take place in the middle of March. In the same vein, next week, second grade parents are invited into school for their annual Wax Museum, and in the Wax Museum, students select one of their favorite characters from literature, dress up like that character, and then talk to the audience about that character in the book. They don't give away too much because all of the wax people are encouraging the audience to read the book to find out more. So both of these activities help enhance their students in reading, writing, and speaking and listening skills. As part of our social emotional learning and character education program, this year Aldine students work in conjunction with our music teachers, Mr. Manno and Ms. Coswell, to write a new school song. The students created the lyrics while the teachers composed the music. Every Monday at our whole school morning meetings, the students sing our song, and the lyrics represent parts of the Aldine Pledge, which students recite every morning with the Pledge of Allegiance, and also incorporates part of the character traits that we practice in school as a school with a heart. We celebrated 100 days of school last week, and Zero the Hero came into kindergarten, first grade, and the students counted to 100 in a lot of ways, including doing 100 different physical activities. Our annual Teachers versus the 5th grade students volleyball game is this Friday in the gym. All of the students in school come to cheer on their favorite team. Students cheer for their classes or their siblings, and some students even cheer for the teachers. We are very thankful to our PTO for hosting their second annual Tricky Tray. It will be next Saturday on March 7th. Last year was their first event of this type, and it was very successful. And this year the PTO has sold even more tickets than last year, so we're looking forward to another successful event. We're celebrating Read Across America next week at Aldine, and the Student Council has put together a week's worth of activities, including wearing a mustache to represent the Lorax or dressing up as your favorite Dr. Seuss character. The Student Council has also spent time making bookmarks, which we'll be selling to students to raise money for some of their community service projects. And every student at Aldine will get a book to take home. I wanted to talk for a minute about a district-wide initiative regarding standard-based report cards. I've been working on this initiative with the Committee of Elementary Teachers, and we'll be ready to roll out a report card coming in the fall. Standards, just in case you're not sure what it is, a standards-based report card relies on the New Jersey standards, which actually drive our teachers' instruction. So as such, a standards-based report card aligns with our curriculum, where the report card that we currently have does not align in all areas. A standards-based report card communicates much more specific information to families. It talks specifically about what a student can and cannot do in certain areas of content and skills. And another difference is a standards-based report card reports on behavior separately from academics. So that eliminates a certain amount of subjectivity in certain grading. So we will report on behavior in one area and we'll report on, say, reading standards in another. The committee has selected standards and converted them to parent-friendly language for communicating at home. The plan right now is to roll out the report card in the fall for kindergarten, first and second grade. With this report card, we'll be moving to trimesters, 3 reporting periods instead of 4, which will be in December, March, and June. All students will be on trimesters in the elementary grades, but next year we'll be working on creating the standards-based report card for students in grades 3, 4, and 5. With the trimesters, we still plan to hold our parent-teacher conferences in November, as we normally do. And so now, I'm very proud to recognize some of our students for their outstanding accomplishments in the fine arts. The following students are recognized for having their artwork selected for display in the Union County Youth Art Month exhibit. Kaylani Torres. Come on up, Kaylani. Valentina Vargas. And Jessica Vasquez. The following students are finalists in the Youth Art Month Design Competition. We had 2 finalists, Layla Dury and Anthony Santiago. The following students also participated in the Youth Art Month Design Competition: Emily Delgado, Vlad Dobry, Brielle Laguerre, and Emma Legaspi. The following student had her artwork displayed at the New Jersey PAC exhibit, and she's already up here, Valentina Vargas. And the following students were chosen to participate in the Morris Union Jointure Music Festival Chorus. And before I say your names, I do have to give a shout out to our music teacher, Mrs. Cogswell, who was selected as the music director of that county chorus. So we're very proud of her as well. We're actually having a rehearsal right now, so after I say the students' names, they're probably going to want to get there. So Madison Rice, come on up. Emma Legospi. Sebastian Santana. And Maurice Ramirez. And last but certainly not least, the following student was selected to participate in the 5th and 6th grade Morris Union Jointure Band. Congratulations to Juliana Luciano. Let's give them a great big round of applause.
Max, if you want to come up and take a picture now of the group.
Everyone look at each other. Everyone look at each other.
Thank you.
Congratulations to all the students. We're going to take a 2-minute recess. You guys can go home and do your homework. Okay? Get your homework done and then maybe watch TV or read another book. So good night to the children, okay?
So with an Eagles shirt on it.
Okay, now the superintendent, Ms. Garrido, will give his report.
Thank you, Mr. Cinderella. Good evening, everyone. Before I call Mrs. Packer to give her semi-annual gift report, I just have a couple of things that I want to announce. to the board and to the public. On March 11th, it's a very special evening. Every year, the Union County School Boards Association recognizes a senior from each high school in Union County. And they're called the unsung heroes. And it's a student who has met challenges in their lives and they have overcome to be very successful in school. It's an incredibly inspiring evening. I send the invitation out to the board members. It's held in a large auditorium, so there's plenty of space for anyone to attend. And this year, the ceremony will be held at Plainfield High School in Plainfield. Mr. Signorello was there with me last year, and I can tell you it brought a tear to both of our eyes. It's a very inspiring night. We're really here, and actually, our unsung hero from last year was selected to be one of the 3 or 4 that they actually made a video and they broadcasted throughout the state. So, a wonderful, inspiring evening. Black History Month has been celebrated throughout the district and is continuing to be celebrated throughout the district this month with many different activities that include essay writing, novels, videos, discussions, website research, and things such as that. So, all of our students and all of our schools is involved in some type of Black History Month activities. Read Across America, as Mrs. Scully mentioned before, will be held next week. We have staff members and also community leaders coming in as guest readers. The students love it. We really try to make a big thing about Read Across America because we understand literacy is the cornerstone of the foundation for our students' learning. So we definitely celebrate it throughout the district. 2020 New Jersey School Learning Assessments. It's coming very quickly and it'll be here before you know it during the months of April and May. There should be information going on very soon from the State Department and also from the district regarding the test that is given to grades 3 through 11. So please expect that. The calendar will be on the website as well as it will be sent on also. So at this point, I would like to ask Mrs. Backer to come up to do her semi-annual HIP reports, which will include investigations, training, and programs throughout the district. Mrs. Backer.
Thank you, Mr. Guerrero. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ellen Backer. I'm the vice principal at Roselle Park High School, and I'm an anti-bullying coordinator for the district. And as such, I am required by law to report twice a year on our investigations, trainings, and programs in relation to harassment, intimidation, and bullying, which I will refer to as HIB moving forward. Each school has an anti-bullying specialist who, along with their principal, addresses the HIB concerns in their buildings and conducts investigations as needed. They also lead the school safety team. So in our schools, we have Andrea Cosadoy at the high school, Kathy Pons at the middle school, Allison Canarak, Robert Gordon, Jamie Halperin at Sherman, Carolyn Gleason and Aldine and Kelly Tiffany at the Academy. For this reporting period, which is September 1, 2019 until December 31st, 2019, we had 16 investigations, HIB investigations. Of those 16, 8 met the criteria to be determined harassment, intimidation, and bullying. 8 did not meet the criteria. In all of those cases, there could have also been a code of conduct violation, and those were addressed as such, as per each school's policy. There were 6 at the, 8 investigations at the high school, 4 at the middle, 2 at Sherman, 2 at Aldine, and none at Robert Gordon. Some of the consequences or the results of those HIB investigations in terms of the students could result in parent conferences, counseling for the offenders and the victims, along with education on our district HIB policy. We always want to use it as a teaching opportunity, especially on the lower level grades, because very often it's a conflict that just rises a little bit more above that would tip it over into the HIB category. We always want our elementary school students especially to learn strategies and techniques to deal with it and also to prevent their own behavior. So, but we also will include such things as schedule changes, More likely on the middle and the high school level will be detention, in-school suspension, or out-of-school suspension. I'm also required to report to you about our trainings and programs that we do during that same time period that helps to raise awareness about HIV in our schools and to improve school climate. So we have to do staff training. Some of the training that all of our staff received in the beginning of the school year was online safety, threats of violence, youth suicide awareness, prevention and postvention, making schools safe for our LGBTQ students, bullying, recognition and response, and American with Disability Act overview. Also, all of our Pontonian employees received HIV training as well. Sometimes it's the people that are behind the scenes, like the cafeteria workers, our custodians. We also train them and make them aware because sometimes they see things that in spaces in the building that others maybe don't. Some of the trainings that we did at the high school and the middle school, we did an assembly. We had a guest speaker. It was also open to our parents and the community. It was called Public and Permanent: Responsible Use of Technology and Preventing Digital Abuse. We cannot get enough training on teaching students how to be mindful and aware of their online presence and how that could be misinterpreted or spread. You'd be still surprised that they don't realize the footprint that they leave and how the consequences that can have. We also, at all of our schools, follow and acknowledge the Week of Respect, School Violence Awareness Week, Suicide Awareness Week. On the elementary level, they all do character education lessons in the classrooms. They had a Power of One assembly and a Kind Kingdom online game to raise awareness. And I'm just giving you just a few ideas. I'm not going to list the very detailed list because we'd be here for a long time because our anti-bullying specialists do a tremendous job implementing these lessons through their curriculum and through their day. At the academy, they did a really creative bullying escape room. At the high school, one of our initiatives that we just love, and it seems simple, is that every single student gets a hand-delivered birthday card. And you might think that how is that important, but it makes each student feel acknowledged and belonged, and that can go a long way in making them feel empowered in their building. We also do a GSA, which is our Gay Straight Alliance Game Night, and we did a community tree where every single member of our school community, every new student, every staff member, every parent, everybody that walks in the door has their name on a color-coded, student-designed circle, and that's hung up on a big display in our hallway, which I just love. It makes a great impression for our guests when they come in the building. And we also did an all-school initiative called Chalk It Up, which is a lot of fun, where schools visited each other. We had all the elementary schools walk on over to the high school, and they work together, and they use chalk to write positive and affirming messages on the sidewalks and the chalk. And it was just a lot of fun for our older kids to interact with our little ones, and it's always a great day. So the goal of our anti-bullying specialists and our school safety teams, along with their principals, is to continue to create schools with positive and accepting climates where all school members feel safe and supported. So, anybody have any questions for me? Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Becker, and thank you for your hard work. And also to every building has an anti-bullying specialist who is the one really who does these investigations and they provide students with the programs and so forth. And these are amazing people who work very hard to make sure our students are kept safe and secure. One other thing, one of our major goals in our strategic plan for the next 3 years is our social emotional learning initiative that we have that ties right into our HIT programs as well. And Mrs. Scully made some mentions of some of the things. We just met, the social emotional committee met last week, and one of the things that they are going to be creating is a climate survey for both students and staff to take. And then based on that survey is where we're going to be planning our programs and activities that we have. So, you know, a lot of these things are going on. They do a great job in making sure that our students are safe and any type of incident is investigated thoroughly. So thank you, Mrs. Becker. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Brito. Now we'll move on to policy section on the agenda, items 1 through 3. District policy, second reading, Educational stability for children in foster care. District policy, second reading, to approve the following district policy. The second reading is medical marijuana. Number 3 is district policy, second reading is to approve the following district policy. The second reading is field trips. Ms. Couch, have a roll call, please.
Need a motion?
Who seconded it? Sorry. Roll call, please.
Vice President Lanning.
Yes.
Ms. Paulson.
Yes.
Ms. Falcon.
Yes.
Mr. Fernandez.
Yes.
Mr. Harms.
Yes.
Mr. Hemingway.
Yes.
Ms. Natalino.
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
Yes.
And President Simmons.
Yes.
On roll call, motion carries.
Personnel section on agenda, items 4 through 18. District substitutes, staff resignations, staff appointments, staff retirements, degree changes, 2020 Rosa Park Summer Camp salaries, or 10 additional home instruction for home instruction instructors. Number 11, Let Anthony Cigarello Youth Program. 12, maternity leave for absence request for Jessica Gilchrist, Robert Gordon, interventionist. Medical leave for absence request for Deborah Fords, district social worker. 14, medical leave for absence request for Cheryl Trapani, Robert Gordon, special education. And, sick day bank. WISE, energize the math program. High school, middle school extracurricular coaches 2019 to 2020. And 18 is the division of middle school extracurricular advisors 2019 to 2020.
So moved.
Okay, so we actually have a staff retirement, Emmanuel Transidi, I apologize if I pronounce it wrong, and a staff appointment for Lisa Aeronautica.
I'll make the motion.
Second,
Second.
roll call please.
Mr. President, if I may,
Yes.
just real quick, we wish Mr. Tancredi well, and also Mrs. Dreyfus. And I also wanted to point out Mr. McHale. I just wanted to thank him for his years of service. I knew Jimmy through several involvements at Sherman School, and he's always been just a really nice guy, professional, helpful, and I wish him and his wife well in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller.
Mr.
Any other
President,
comments?
I would like to abstain from item number 9 under this.
Thank you. I actually,
You can abstain during the vote.
roll call please.
Vice President Lanning.
Yes.
Ms. Carlstrom.
Yes, except item number 9.
Ms. Falcon.
Yes.
Mr. Fernandez.
Yes.
Mr. Harms.
Yes.
Mr. Hemingway.
Yes.
Ms. Natalino.
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
Yes.
And President Signorella.
Yes, and I will abstain for item number 9 also.
On roll call, motion carries.
Now moving to the education section of the agenda, items 19 through 24. 19 being educational programs, 20 educational trips requests, 21 the ESY program 2020, 22 the ESL Title III Summer Enrichment Program, 23 conference attendance requests, 24 2020 2021 school calendar adoption.
I'll move it.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Vice President Longbang.
Yes.
Ms. Carlstrom.
Yes.
Ms. Falcon.
Yes.
Mr. Fernandez.
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence.
Yes.
Mr. Hemingway.
Yes.
Mrs. Palfado. Yes. Mr. Miller.
Yes.
And President Signorella.
Yes.
Roll call motion carried.
Moving along here, the business section of the agenda, items 25 through 35. 25, the monthly certification, approval of bills, approval of 27, approval of minutes, 28, secretary treasurer's report, 29, budget transfers, 30, the use of buildings and grounds. 31, scale check cancellation. 32, donation. 33, grant amendment. 34, Edmund Cinderella Youth Center rate correction. And 35, disposal of property.
I'll move it.
Second, we have a second?
Second that motion.
So I have to... Roll call, please.
Vice President Longbang.
Yes.
Ms. Carlstrom.
Yes, except I abstain from item 26 and item 30.
Ms. Falcon.
Yes.
Mr. Fernandez.
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence.
Yes, and I will trade on 26.
Mr. Hemingway.
Yes.
Mrs. Palfado.
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
Yes, abstaining on 30K and L.
And President Signorella.
Yes, I have to abstain on 26 and 30.
On roll call motion carried.
Thank you. Do we have any continuing business? The old business, continuing business.
Mr. President, I just want to remind the board that our school budget is due in the county office on March 20th. Our next scheduled meeting is March 24th, which will be too late because the board needs to approve the tentative budget. So if, Mr. President, if you can take a consensus of the board to see if they want to have it on March 17th, which is the Tuesday prior to the
I'll make a motion to change next month's meeting to the 17th.
Second? We have a second to the 17th?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, that was, that was new business? Okay, all right, just to verify. Any other, do we have any other new business?
Mr. President, if I may,
Yes,
on the subject of timing of meetings, I just want to express my sadness that we went a whole month without a meeting. I thought I could handle it, but it turns out that I really miss you people, and I miss Mr. Garrido, and I feel disconnected from business of the district. So I know we've approved the calendar of meetings already, but I do hope that we can find a way that the entire board can be in more frequent contact with district leadership.
agreed.
I heard that.
Mr. Vice President, the first, third, and fourth meeting actually had this brief conversation yesterday at our finance meeting, and we're working on trying to do a workshop or another style meeting to put the train back on the track and get it done. So you are, this came up yesterday. I don't have that answer right this second, but we are going to try to do so. Anything else on new business? Okay, we now open the second part, open the public participation. Anybody wants to speak? Come on. We have 3 minutes. State your name. And your address, please.
Hello, Hello, my name is Seth Levine from 434 Spruce Street, and I'm representing the Troop 56 local Boy Scout troop. So as part of my Eagle project, I'm going to be constructing and placing a community flag retirement box in the Rosa Park Memorial Library. It shall be open for public use March 13th. The point of this box is for anybody old or retired or damaged flags to deposit them. You can't necessarily just throw an American flag out. It's deemed pretty disrespectful. So if anybody in the community has any more questions, or if you guys have anything about the process, there's going to be informational posters and there's going to be flyers that are coming around town. And I just want to let everybody know that starting March 13th, the community flag box will be open in the library.
Seth, is it right?
Yes.
So is it going to be out there 12 months of the year to do this, or what's your, because I commend you for doing this. This is a great thing. I wish I could put my thumb on it right now. I thought another organization, American Legion, is going to be doing something on how to properly dispose it. So you're trying to just take them, and then you're going to, what's the next step? Are you working with the Girl Scouts? I'm trying to think. I can't think right now. In the American Legion, that is a proper way to burn these respectfully. Myself, the former fire chief, fire official, Mr. Franco, the fire chief, have been asked to partake in this. So what's the next step when you get 100?
Yeah.
On the spot? I hope I didn't.
Oh yeah, no, you're good. So yeah, along with this project, along with the flag box and the information board and a few other aspects, Boy Scout Troop 56 is actually going to be leading an annual flag retirement ceremony on Flag Day. So we're not exactly sure which organizations we are going to be working with, but I'm sure we'll have the information soon.
So Chief Parento is the back left that we can work together, and we did this years ago. It was at the Gazebo Park, and it was a respectful ceremony. I'm glad to see it come back. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any other?
Donald Chin, 34 West Roselle Avenue. Actually, what I'm about to say doesn't relate to the Boy Scouts. I'd like to bring up what I think is a safety issue. I really feel that there should be crosswalks at the high school, going from the high school side, to the parking lot side. For the last 4 years, I've been dropping my son off to catch the buses to the UCBTS campus. And I notice, there's a lot of traffic on Webster and cars turning in and out of the parking lots. And it seems like the students who are walking on Webster, they have to cross over if they're going to get to the buses. And it's like they have to fend for themselves. Sometimes cars stop, most times they don't. So it seems like the students just have to pick their spot and kind of hurry across the street. So. And also you have students who park in the parking lot, and then they go over to the high school. They also have to just sort of, hope that cars either slow down or wait. So I really think that, there should be crosswalks, maybe even a crossing guard, but that's...
So can you clarify, if they're parking in a youth baseball field and walk across the street, I missed the
well, there's two.
Because they're parking here.
Yeah, so there's students who will park at the parking lot and then go to the high school. And then there's the students who are walking to the buses, and they're walking, on the 7-Eleven side where the sidewalk, and they have to cross usually at like Larch. And they just have to sort of choose their spot and hope that they can get across.
Pretty much the seniors park there, but it's something we could look at, and we could talk to the chief of police to see what can be done or not be there, and we'll look into it this week.
Because, like I said, I've been there, dropping my son for 4 years, and each day is a little different. Sometimes, depending on like how many students are being dropped off at the high school, there's a lot of cars backed up, and you have like trucks dropping supplies off at Hunter Lumber. And also, if they do that Hunter, the big housing development, in place of where Hunter is. It's just going to get busier. So.
Thank you. We'll look at it. Thank you so much. Anyone else? Now we're going to public.
Yes, Mrs. Morella, we are required to have an annual ethics training. The board is required to have an annual ethics training. We have Mrs. Gwen Gordon from New Jersey School Boards Association coming to her annual training. We want to welcome you, Mrs. Thornton, and thank you for taking the time and bringing this to the board. Thank you.
My pleasure. And always the latest.
Excuse me, if the public wants to stay, you're welcome. But if you really don't, have somebody that really don't want,
Here's your chance to leave.
one wants Cornish home to stay.
And in fact, it was funny because we received the same financial disclosure forms because as professional staff members of NJSBA, we too signed the code of ethics and are required to abide by it. And I was talking to a board about the code of ethics and they asked and I said, oh my gosh, I forgot it came and I hadn't done it. It would not be good to have a staff member who was out of compliance either. So if you haven't done it, please make sure that you do it. It's easy to have it buried in your email, but you want to take a few moments to make sure that you have complied with that.
Right, I just want to remind you, board also, that's points off, you said it is not done in a timely fashion, so please, you don't want to get points off our show.
Everyone's received and not completed it.
Yes.
When you send out
Well, it just gets buried in your email. It absolutely gets buried in your email. That's what happens to me. It came and I made a mental note to do it and then was busy doing work.
Just so you
And
know, I'm sorry, I can't resend it because it comes automatically from,
so just, if you just,
Actually, I just received a reminder today.
right, it comes automatic, it doesn't come from me.
Right.
So I didn't get a reminder, so I must have.
So does that mean you didn't do it?
I didn't do it.
You didn't do it.
Okay.
I did it
Oh, you're talking about taking points off, huh?
April 30th, but I'm going to do
you
this
had
week, so. I'm
until
sure
April 30th, but,
If it's late, it's fine.
and all of that gets involved. So I always just like to remind board members because it's something we need to do and it can indeed get buried. I've always done it. I've never had to get the reminder, but I'm glad to know that the state sent it out. And if you can't find it, you can just put in Department of Ed in your search function in your email and it will pop up. So if you buried it, just put in DOE, New Jersey DOE, and it will pop up. Okay? And so you also know that you have to attend mandatory training. You are the best trained board members in the nation, as a matter of fact. So in your first year, you must attend new board member orientation. If you're a brand new brand new baby board members, okay. There is a weekend available in March the 13th, Friday the 13th. And there is still space. It is a wonderful training weekend that we offer. There's no cost to the district, and it is probably the best program that we run. You have an opportunity to network with board members all across the state. You will come back better informed. You will also think you're in better shape here than when you went. Trust me when I tell you that. Because you'll talk to other folks. You'll find out that not all districts are as well run as Roselle Park.
I can register you.
Okay.
And your business administrator can register you as soon as possible. So there is no cost. It runs Friday night, Saturday, and you're done Sunday by noon. But it is well worth the time. And they feed you a lot of good food, so you won't be hungry.
So,
Okay? Yes. Well, I know that's the way to your hearts, right? It's food is you're required to do GOV2 in years 2 and 3. And in any subsequent year to your first term, you're required to take GOV4. We are just rolling out in conjunction with Rutgers, you may have seen that announcement, a new online opportunity for GOV2, 3, and 4. They've been redone. I have not yet seen them, so I can't speak to it, except to say that I know that it was done professionally through Rutgers University.
that's what I was saying.
Right, so you should have received that announcement as well. And again, your business administrator has to register you for those. There's no cost, but we have to keep track for the School Ethics Commission. So your business administrator registers you for whatever year you need.
So our business administrator wouldn't get it before we got it, or they did it at the same time to do that?
She registers you and then you are sent a link to get in on your
I got
computer.
mine.
So,
I got.
so the system knows what year you're in, and they will automatically send you some
Right,
a
like, so
reminder.
re-election,
Right.
for re-election, and that you have to do governance for.
Correct.
In advance.
Correct.
And that's what I got on the email.
Did you get a link? You generally,
Yeah, there's a link to it.
okay.
I'm afraid to hit it.
Well, hit it and see, because I did it and it didn't work. And as I read through the notice, it said you had to go through your business administrator. So if it doesn't work, Lauren, don't panic, just like your business administrator. No, she'll register you. There's no charge to the district. It's our way.
I got it, just didn't know.
It's our, well, some board members might think that, but it's our way of keeping track because we report to the School Ethics Commission so that when board members are out of compliance, then they get a letter that says you haven't done it. So it's available at various county meetings as well, but it's also available online now. So we're very excited about that. And new board member orientation will be available online as well, but not until after March 15th, after that last week, because we would prefer to train our new folks in person because we think it's that important. Okay? So that's just to reestablish that. The School Ethics Commission meets monthly. There are 9 members. 2 are SUPs, 2 are board members, 5 are citizens, and they need to adjudicate and hear cases. And they have 2 different roles in that. One is to issue advisory opinions on a prospective basis. So if you have a concern as a new board member that there might be a conflict for you to participate and vote on a particular item, some of you abstained tonight on various items throughout your agenda. It may be because you weren't here at the meeting and so you didn't want to approve minutes that you didn't hear and weren't present for. But if there are conflicts that may come up that you are concerned about, you can write to the Ethics Commission ahead of that item coming before you and ask for an advisory opinion. They will send you back an advisory opinion solely to you. The only exception is if there is a particular issue that is of such statewide interest, there are times when the SEC will make an advisory opinion public. In all of 2019, we only had 1 advisory opinion. We just received a new one that was in school board notes, and I actually included a copy of it in your packet because I just wanted to highlight it for you because it's what the majority of the SEC is spending its time these days deliberating, and that is around social media, because social media has become a significant issue. When I first started doing this job 17 years ago, it's hard to believe, almost 18 years ago, the most common violated part of the Code of Ethics was confidentiality. People having a difficult time maintaining confidentiality of closed session material. Now, the majority of the complaints that they are receiving are having to do with social media. And so I think it's important to just point that out, and we can talk about that in a few minutes, but it is important to know. So the only advisory opinion that came out in 2019 was about a board member who was employed by a vendor and who's a bus driver. We all fall back on our own personal experiences, but when I sat on my board, we had a board member who was retired who wanted to drive for the bus company that supplied our buses as a school district. And he was told, asked him for an advisory, and he was told then, now this is more than 18 years ago, choose, be a board member or be a bus driver. But you can't do both. You can drive for a bus company that doesn't supply buses to our district, where you want to be on the board, and then you can drive. But if you want to drive for this particular company, you can't. They have subsequently decided that it's okay. You can now drive a bus in the district where the vendor, because it's a vendor relationship, the vendor is paying the individual, and there is not such a close tie to the district. And so that was the opinion in A16, A0619. So I point that out to say to you that over time, there have been ethics pieces that evolve and change, and that it's not static. And sometimes they change and flip their positions from one item to another. Another advisory opinion that didn't come last year, the year before, was the decision that if the association endorses you as a board member, you are not per se precluded from participating in negotiations. When I sat on the Board of Education, the SEC had held that if the union, the association, the Teachers Association endorsed you, you were foreclosed from participating in negotiations for a full year. You had to sit out. Now it is no longer an automatic exclusion. So that's a change. So the SEC, as its membership changes and things evolve and change in the state of New Jersey, some of the decisions that they have made have evolved and changed. And the reason I'm telling you this is why it's so critically important to read school board notes. Not because I need you to read more things on your computer, but because there's an expectation that when there's a decision that is made, board members will be aware of it and abide by it, whether it's an advisory decision or whether it's a formal decision that is made and that is made public. Okay? They have the ability to reprimand a board member, to censure a board member, to suspend a board member, and actually to remove a board member. A reprimand is simply a rebuke by the commissioner that is sent to the board member who violated the law. A censure is a little stronger. It's a statement that has to be read and posted at a public board meeting. A suspension is for a finite period of time, and a removal is exactly what it sounds like. You are taken off the board. That does not mean you can't return to the board at some other time and be reelected at a subsequent election, but you are removed for the remainder of your existing term if you are so removed. And they have done that in certain circumstances. Typically, a suspension is for a finite period of time. So if you fail to fill out your financial disclosure form, typically they would suspend you until such time as you had completed that form, and you lose your QSAC points as well. So you don't want to have that happen. But before QSAC, when we were under the old monitoring system, they simply suspended you until such time as you filled out your financial disclosure forms. Okay? So the school board code of ethics is listed beginning on page 6, and I'm not going to read all of them to you. The first one says that you're going to uphold all of the state laws and regulations. You know, sometimes board members will say to me, well, I don't agree with that decision. I don't agree with that rule plan. They're not my rules. The state of New Jersey has adopted this as part of statute, so it's not NJSBA's rules. We live by these too, but they are the state's. And you are required as public officials, whether you're appointed or elected, to uphold all of the laws in the state of New Jersey. When PARC came into being and there were a number of districts that were upset and concerned about the administration of PARC, we had some boards that wanted to not give you tests. We had some boards that wanted to write policy that would allow kids to opt out of the test and formalize that. And you could, a child could sit out, stay home, you know, you could do that as a parent, but the board could not adopt a policy that was in direct opposition to what the state required. So that's why I point that out. You're required to make your educational decisions in the best interest of everyone's welfare in the district, every child, regardless of race, sex, color, creed, socioeconomic background, language, or any other classification, just like everyone else. You're required to confine your board responsibilities to policy making, appraisal, and oversight. You know what policy is, that's what you did tonight, you approved policies. Those provide the guideposts for directing both students, staff, and the community to understand how the district operates. It is a roadmap, if you will. Your planning goes through your strategic plan and your goal setting that you do annually to say what you want to see happen in your district, and the appraisal is your superintendent's evaluation. The district has one employee, and that's the superintendent. The superintendent holds all other staff accountable. The board holds the superintendent accountable. And so that is really a major responsibility of the board. That too has a statutory deadline, which is July 1st. Failure to complete the superintendent's evaluation by July 1 loses you about 13 QSAC points. You don't want to find yourself in that position either. So please make sure that you plan to do that. It is an important legal responsibility of the board. It's in the code of ethics in the sense that it talks about appraisal, and because the board works with the superintendent, it is your opportunity, therefore, to let the superintendent know how he or she is doing, and where are their areas of strength, and what kind of progress has been made toward district goals. Your responsibility is to make sure that the district is well run and not to run the district. You sit on your board as lay people. You do not sit on your board as educators. I happen to know Chris is a teacher. But he does not sit on the board of education as a teacher. He sits on the board as a citizen of Roselle Park. He can use his background and professional experience to help inform the work that gets done in the district, which real signs a bunch of paperwork regularly, it's a pain in the neck to sign. But beyond that, really doesn't have any more authority than any of the rest of them. So it is a collaborative effort to move that forward. Okay? You recognize that the authority rests with the full board, and make no personal promises or take any individual actions that would compromise the board. And that's where we get into the issues typically with the social media, because sometimes board members do not seem to understand that some of that usage can in fact compromise the board depending upon what it is they are doing. Refusing to surrender your independent judgment to partisan political groups or any kind of interest group is another requirement. You are elected in a nonpartisan election, in spite of the fact that you are now elected in November in a political election and not a non-separate, nonpartisan election that we used to have in April. You are still required to be nonpartisan and not be affiliated with any particular interest group or political party. And that's an important piece. And not using your office to gain favors or friends or colleagues or neighbors. Okay? You're required to hold confidential all information that is disclosed would previously damage the district. So all student items, all personnel items, the sale and purchase of property, the negotiation of property, negotiations. There's a process by which items that are closed session items, once the need for confidentiality has passed, can become public. There are certain items such as student matters, personnel matters that will never become public, but those other items that may be confidential at one point, such as negotiating a contract, once that contract has been negotiated and ratified, that becomes public. There's no longer a need for confidentiality in discussing the contract. So there is that process that exists within your policy to allow for that, because we've had some new board members who think everything should be disclosed to the public. But not everything can be or should be disclosed to the public all of the time. Okay? You can only vote to appoint the best qualified personnel after consideration of the chief school administrator. The Board of Education cannot hire anyone without an affirmative recommendation from the superintendent. That does not mean you have to vote yes on every single recommendation or personnel hire that the superintendent makes, but your reasoning must not be arbitrary or capricious. And so if you have a question or a concern about an item on the personnel agenda, the appropriate process would be to notify the board president and the superintendent. You never want to see the board in a situation where you have someone sitting in the audience expected to be appointed and then have it not come to fruition. That would be embarrassing to both the board, the superintendent, and obviously to the person sitting in the audience expected to be appointed. So in that particular instance, it is really important to let your superintendent know ahead of time and not 2 minutes before the meeting while the person's already sitting. Okay? You're required to support and protect school personnel in the proper performance of their duties. This means all school personnel all the time, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing. So it doesn't matter if they're complaining to you at the frozen food aisle at the ShopRite or on the sidelines of the soccer game, and you used to be able to, right before you became a board member, complain about that coach till you wanted to, whatever, that's fine. Once you became a board member, that's a school employee, you can no longer do that, okay? If you have a concern about a staff member, again, one of the pieces is you must refer, as part of the code of ethics, all complaints to the chief school administrator. So if you have a concern about a particular teacher or a particular coach or an issue, you need to let your superintendent know, but that doesn't give you license to be on the sidelines somewhere talking to your friends and neighbors about your concerns. As a board member, you have to make sure that you refer all of those to the chief school administrator and only get involved as a full board in a complaint after the failure of an administrative solution, which means you you have to give your administration time to solve the problem. Secondarily, always remember that just because someone comes back to the microphone, perhaps to complain about something that they consider an administrative failure, may simply be that they didn't get the answer that they wanted, as opposed to no one taking care of their issue. And that's something to just keep in mind as a board, because sometimes that happens. Okay? We've included for you a number of pieces around various decisions in this packet, but the other piece that I just want to highlight begins on page 12, which is conflict of interest. So you must make sure that you recuse yourself if you or an immediate family member is in any way involved in a business interest, has any kind of financial involvement, or personal involvement in something that would create benefit to you. Always recuse yourself. Always, always, always recuse yourself. And so immediate family is defined as your spouse or a dependent child residing in your home. But please keep in mind that the school Ethics Act defines immediate family that way, but under the nepotism law, they have an expanded definition of family member. And a lot of the ethics decisions, they have been using the expanded definition of family member, not what's actually in the school ethics law, which is very limited. So it extends from spouse and dependent child residing in your home, which can include parents, step-parents, aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews, relatives, anyone you can think of. It used to be only my husband, but now it would be his parents, okay? Not just my parents, would be considered family. So they have expanded it greatly. They've also included a whole other category that's called other. Okay? And other can be sort of an amorphous term, but for example, there was a particular ethics case where a secretary of the school district was residing with the superintendent. Okay? So there was not enough time to consider the civil union. But it was decided that that wasn't even a conflict, okay? Unfortunately, we don't know the parameters of that, what constitutes an other, so you just need to be mindful of that. Again, if you think that there's a potential conflict, you can always write and ask for an advisory opinion. Neither the secretary nor the superintendent in that circumstance actually advised their opinion, but it was found to be a violation because it created a conflict. Okay? So essentially, living with your boss was thought to be a problem, which doesn't seem to be terribly surprising to most people, but apparently it was. Your superintendent is not permitted to hire either his family or any family member of a board member, nor can he recommend for employment. There are a couple of exceptions to that, but those exceptions are very rare, and they have to be approved by the executive county superintendent. And the exception I like to think of is if you found a teacher who is multiply certified in AP Physics and Mandarin Chinese, you might be able to get an exception for that person if they were related to a board member. But no regular, and I was a teacher, a regular teacher, so I'm not saying anything demeaning. Visual social studies teacher. They're not going to allow you to hire a social studies teacher who's related to a board member. They have to have extraordinarily unusual qualifications and be the only one qualified to have that job. So it's unlikely that that exception has been approved that I know of in several years. In terms of collective bargaining, we'll note on page 13, and again, they've made some changes to this. And they changed it, and then they changed it back again. And so if your spouse and a child not living with you, or a relative works in the district, you are completely out of negotiations altogether. Can't vote on the contract, can't negotiate. You also, if you have a family member employed in any capacity in the school district, cannot participate in setting terms and conditions of employment for the superintendent. You can't participate in the evaluation of the superintendent, and you cannot participate in any facet of a search for a superintendent, a new superintendent. From deciding who to do the search to the interviews, you're just out in totality. Okay? For negotiations, if you or your spouse or dependent child does not work in the district but works in another district, okay? You can participate in negotiations, but you can vote on the final contract as long as those contracts include all of the costs, including the salary guides, which is a little tough because typically contracts reach a memorandum of agreement and salary guides are done like at the 11th hour. And so in most instances, you're better off just not voting so that the MOA can be approved and you can move on. If you are a child, you're not dependent, you work out of the district, you can participate in negotiations and you can vote. If and only if you do not have heightened union involvement. Now that heightened union involvement means if you or your child is a teacher in another district and they are a building rep or they're a building association officer in that district or they're on that district's negotiations team, that's all considered heightened union involvement and then they will be out. Okay? It's a little confusing. It used to be a lot clearer than it is now, but you know, it is what it is. You can invoke the doctrine of necessity in order to approve mostly personnel appointments if you have sufficient numbers of board members who are conflicted out of a process. I don't think you have that situation here. I had a couple of districts where we had 2 board members, and the SEC has held that the 2 board members are sufficient to negotiate a contract because they have the superintendent and or they can hire a professional negotiator to assist them. And so you would not need to have a committee of 3 eligible board members. They have also held that it only takes 2 board members to do a search, and that you can't invoke the doctrine of necessity to do a search even if you only have 2 board members. You would have to invoke the doctrine to hire the superintendent because the law says you have to have a majority of the full board vote to approve a superintendent contract with the search itself. So think about this: you could have 2 board members who go through the entire process, have the new superintendent ready to be seated. The rest of the board members have never met or seen this person, and they have to vote on that person for their next meeting. A little scary. Not probably the best decision they've ever arrived at, but be that as it may. Okay? In terms of volunteerism, and this is one that they keep continuing to refine, the SEC says board members can volunteer in the schools, but they cannot have routine contact with students and staff. So you can't direct staff, you can't take direction from staff, you shouldn't be enmeshed in the day-to-day operations of the school. So if you want to chaperone a field trip, it's a one-shot deal, you can do that. If you want to come in and read to a class for Read Across America, you can come in and do that. You still can belong and be a PTA officer. That's a really old decision. They haven't done anything with that, so you can still be the PTA president or vice president, but you should absolutely not be the PTA treasurer because you don't want to be handling any kind of school funds or monies as a board member. So you should just keep that separate and apart. So you can volunteer in the school. There's a series of questions on page 16. So if you're thinking about what it is you do in the schools, if you can answer no to all of these questions, will I be giving directions or orders to staff and students? The answer is no. You're one step closer to being able to volunteer. Will I need to take orders from the staff? If the answer is no, again, you're one step closer to being in the school. Will it seem to visitors that you work in the schools? Because again, you're concerned about perception. If you can say no to that, will I be handling any of the school district's money? Now, this is a dramatic change. I will tell you, when I was a board member, I used to go in once a week and run the elementary school store with a couple of other parents for the PTO, and we used to collect literally nickels and dimes and quarters from the little kids for erasers and pencils and tchotchkes and stickers, but you couldn't do that now. Will I be a regular volunteer for a school district club or a coach for a school district activity? The answer is you absolutely cannot do that. You cannot be an advisor to a club. You cannot be a volunteer coach. You can be a volunteer coach for Park and Recs. You can belong to your Ed Foundation if you have one. You can volunteer for Pop Warner or any kind of organization that is not at all connected to the school district, but that serves your district's kids. So again, it's a little bit of a split because they're the same children probably that are in the Pop Warner League and playing on the soccer field, but you can't do it in conjunction with the school district. Okay? So, you know, PTO, Park and Rec, Girl Scouts, those lovely Boy Scouts, all of those things are all fine, and you as board members can volunteer for that. In terms of interview committees, this is here because this is a change. The SEC has held that board members' involvement in interviews for positions other than superintendent is not encouraged, but, because they can never just leave something that simple, but for high-level administrative positions with the authorization of the superintendent, up to 2 board members may observe and make observations and assessments of candidates. In many schools, and it has been in place for a very long time, there are committees for principals or supervisors or directors, and so a board member can participate in that with the permission of the superintendent. But they maintain A510, which says board members may not participate in exit interviews. So here's another one of those particular instances that's a little confusing. While you are able to sit in on those hiring pieces for high-level administrators, you could not sit in on an exit interview for anyone in the district. Now you can ask that your administration conduct exit interviews and ask for a report back from your administration after those interviews were conducted. Some districts will do that if they have a significant amount of turnover in staff, just to ensure that it's not a climate culture issue. You know, they're leaving because they're moving out of town, or somebody got a different job, you know, they want to be closer to their parents, and whatever, as opposed to, I'm just going to another place. And you may find out also other interesting information, you know, regarding your salary guide. Not that there's a lot necessarily you can do about it, but if there was a significant percentage of turnover in staff, it may be something you want to look at. If not, you don't have to conduct exit interviews. We list it because it just talks to the juxtaposition of you can interview for high level, but you can't go to an exit interview, which seems contradictory, at least at some level. Okay? So just in terms of things to consider, we recommend that your board attorney, if need be, sort of keep a running list of potential conflicts or family members involved. If you have family members who were employed prior to your being elected to the board, they are grandfathered. They can continue in their current positions. We're not saying anybody has to leave the district once you become a board member. But if they can't be hired if you're not hired before you became a board member. Okay? In terms of social media, this particular case, and why I think it's interesting, and I brought it just to point out to you, is because it involved the suspension of a board member for 6 months. A board member went after a staff member. The information that was contained was inaccurate. It was made public. The suspension, the person went off the board before the suspension happened and didn't run for re-election. But you need to be just very mindful of what you're posting. Be very careful. Do not involve yourself in closed Facebook groups on Facebook. I don't know if that's something that is being done in a lot of districts, but there are a lot of groups that are closed, like moms or twins and various kinds of, you've all seen those commercials where they get up the steps and all the Rocky Facebook fans and they're all Facebook groups. You don't know who's in a closed Facebook group. So it is possible, although not likely, that a majority of the board at some point could be in the same closed Facebook group, in which case it could potentially constitute a meeting, because now there's a quorum of the board on Facebook, unbeknownst to each other necessarily, and it could be seen as a violation of the Open Public Meetings Law. So we strongly encourage you not. Again, you also have the ethical obligation to report any complaints that you're reading on Facebook, whether it's in a group or just on Facebook. Board members say to me, well, I see these things and they're wrong and they're rumors and I want to correct them. Our recommendation is to notify the superintendent, let the superintendent know that there's inaccurate information, and let the district address it in the way it sees fit to address it. Because it does no one any good to get into a back and forth with folks on Twitter or Facebook or whatever other kinds of applications there are. And I would just also remind all of you that your Facebook material, your texts, your tweets are all discoverable. Okay? So anything you're not prepared to see on the front page of your local paper or the North Star Ledger, you just don't want to be doing that. And some of those non-traceable apps that are out there are really not non-discoverable. They are, in fact, ultimately discoverable. I can't think of one right off the top. What's it called? The WhatsApp? Is that? I'm sorry, I'm not from the technological generation here. But there have been people who've been outed for what they have on there. And not in a good way. And I mean public figures, not salacious things, but just comments that were made that were taken out of context perhaps, or not taken out of context, that make everyone look poorly. So you just need to be aware of that. No one tells you this when you run for the board. They say 2 meetings a month, 1 meeting a month, a couple hours, won't take that much of your time, your life won't change. But in some ways it does. You now have a B right on the top of your forehead, and you're a board member 24/7, 365. And that means you need to just be mindful of that and careful, because while we can talk about what's ethical and what the law says, there's also public perception. And public perception becomes reality. And we've seen that. I see it every day. Turn on the TV, listen to a newscast. Things can get skewed very easily and very quickly. So please just be mindful of that. Questions that you have. This can serve as a wonderful resource. You're always, I spend my time, my days, talking to board members, which I'm delighted to do. So if you have questions or you have a concern, or it occurs to you that you might think you have a conflict, you can check with your board attorney, you can check with your superintendent, you can call me, I'll tell you to call them. But you're always welcome to call me if you have questions about anything, especially for those of you who may be newer board members who may not want to ask a question of a colleague, because you think you should know the answer and you don't. Please feel free at any time. That's what we're here for, and it's what I enjoy doing, is talking to board members and needing help and assistance. On the left-hand side of your packet, on the back side of the code of ethics that some of you have as a separate sheet, is an acknowledgement of the training. If you would just sign it and date it and get it to your district, pass it back to your VA, then she will have it and she will be happy.
If everyone could just sign the acknowledgement and send it
Great job. Make a motion to close.
Second?
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.